Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Here at Langgold English, we have two goals: to boost your English skills and to give you the tools you need for a better life. We break down difficult concepts into simple, bite-sized lessons so you can learn without the struggle. So if you've ever felt frustrated because you study for hours but forget everything the next day, I know that feeling. You spend countless hours reading textbooks, watching videos, taking notes, but when it's time to apply what you learned, your mind goes blank. You start questioning yourself. Am I just not smart enough? Why does everyone else seem to get it faster than me? Have you ever wondered why some people can master new skills in weeks while others struggle for months? Why do some students ace their exams with less study time? What's their secret? Here's the truth. It's not about intelligence. It's about strategy. This video is also perfect for learning English because we'll explore proven techniques that work for any subject, including language learning. And I promise, by the end of this video, if you truly listen and apply these 8 powerful methods, you'll cut your learning time in half and remember information 3 times longer.
Method 1. Active recall, the memory powerhouse. The first way to learn faster is through active recall, and this might be the most important strategy you'll ever learn. Here's the problem. Most people think learning means reading and rereading until information sticks. They highlight texts, make beautiful notes, and feel productive. But when test time comes, they panic because they can't remember anything. Let me share Sarah's story. She was a medical student who spent 12 hours a day reading textbooks. She had perfect, color-coded notes, but she kept failing her exams. One day, her study partner showed her a different approach. Instead of reading her notes again, he would close the book and try to explain everything from memory. When he got stuck, he'd check the book, then try again. Sarah was skeptical, but she decided to try this method. Instead of reading about the human heart for the 5th time, she drew it from memory, labeled the parts without looking, and explained its function out loud. The result? She passed her next exam with flying colors. This technique works because of how our brain stores memories. When you simply read information, you're using recognition memory, the weakest form of learning. But when you force yourself to recall information without looking, you strengthen the neural pathways. Scientists call this the testing effect. Here's how to apply active recall in your daily study routine. After reading a chapter, close your book and write down everything you remember. Don't worry about being perfect. When you get stuck, check your notes, then try again. For language learning, instead of reading vocabulary lists, cover the definitions and try to remember them. Then cover the words and try to remember them from the definitions. This feels harder than passive reading, and that's exactly why it works. Your brain is doing the heavy lifting, creating stronger memories that last longer.
Method 2. Spaced repetition, the forgetting curve. The second way is spaced repetition, and this technique can prevent you from forgetting 80% of what you learn. The problem is simple. We forget. Hermann Ebbinghaus discovered that we lose 50% of new information within an hour and 90% within a week. This is called the forgetting curve, and it's the reason why cramming doesn't work. Think about James, a language learner who studied 100 Spanish words every Sunday. By the following Sunday, he'd forgotten most of them, so he'd study the same words again. He was stuck in a cycle of learning and forgetting, making no real progress. Then he discovered spaced repetition. Instead of studying all 100 words once a week, he reviewed them at specific intervals after 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, and a month. Each time he reviewed, the words became stronger in his memory. The science behind this is fascinating. When you review information just as you're about to forget it, you reset the forgetting curve at a higher level. Each review makes the memory more permanent. Here's your spaced repetition system. When you learn something new, review it the next day. If you remember it, review it again in 3 days. If you still remember, review it in a week, then 2 weeks, then a month. If you forget at any point, restart the cycle. For digital learners, apps like Anki automate this process. For those who prefer paper, create a simple card system with different boxes for different review intervals. This might seem like more work initially, but you'll spend less time overall because you won't need to relearn the same information repeatedly.
Method 3. The Feynman Technique, named after Nobel Prize winner Richard Feynman, who said, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." The problem with most studying is that we fool ourselves into thinking we understand something when we actually don't. We recognize concepts when we see them, but we can't use them when we need to. Consider Maria, an engineering student struggling with thermodynamics. She could read her textbook and nod along, thinking she understood, but when solving problems, she was lost. Her professor suggested she try explaining thermodynamics to her 10-year-old brother. At first, Maria thought this was silly, but when she tried, she realized she couldn't explain even basic concepts without using jargon. She had memorized definitions without truly understanding them. So she went back to her textbook, not just to read, but to understand deeply enough to simplify. The next week, she could explain heat transfer using analogies about coffee cooling down and why you feel cold when you get out of a swimming pool. More importantly, she could now solve complex problems because she understood the underlying principles. The Feynman technique works because teaching forces you to organize knowledge clearly and identify gaps in your understanding. When you can't explain something simply, you know exactly what to study next. Here's how to use it. Pick a concept you want to learn. Write it at the top of a blank page. Now, explain it in simple terms, as if teaching a child. Use analogies, examples, and plain language. When you get stuck, go back to your source material, but don't just read, understand deeply enough to simplify. For language learning, try explaining grammar rules to an imaginary beginner. For any subject, create simple analogies that connect new concepts to things you already know. Method 4. Handwriting, the analog advantage. The fourth way might surprise you in our digital age. Take notes by hand, not on a computer. Here's the problem. Typing is fast and convenient, but it encourages mindless transcription. When you type, you can copy information word for word without processing it. Your brain becomes a passive recorder instead of an active learner. Let me tell you about David, a business student who prided himself on having the most detailed type notes in class. He could capture every word the professor said. But come exam time, he struggled to remember key concepts. Meanwhile, his classmate Lisa, who took handwritten notes, seemed to understand everything better despite writing less. What was Lisa's secret? When you write by hand, you're forced to be selective. You can't write as fast as you can type, so you must choose the most important points. This forces your brain to process and synthesize information in real time. Research from Princeton University confirms this. Students who took handwritten notes performed better on conceptual questions than those who typed. The physical act of writing engages different parts of your brain, creating stronger memory traces. Here's how to optimize handwritten note-taking. Don't try to write everything down. Instead, listen first, then write key concepts in your own words. Use abbreviations and symbols to speed up your writing. Draw diagrams, arrows, and connections between ideas. Leave white space for later additions. For reviewing, don't just reread your notes. Rewrite key points from memory.
Then, check your original notes for anything you missed. This combines handwriting with active recall for double the learning power. Yes, your hand might get tired at first, but think of it as strength training for your brain.
Method 5. Deliberate practice beyond repetition. The fifth way is deliberate practice, and this separates true experts from everyone else. Most people think practice makes perfect, but that's not quite right. Only perfect practice makes perfect. You can play piano for 20 years and still be mediocre if you're just going through the motions. Take Alex, who wanted to improve his English speaking. He practiced conversations with native speakers every day for 6 months, but he wasn't getting better. He was making the same mistakes repeatedly, and no one was correcting him. He was practicing, but not deliberately. Then Alex changed his approach. He identified his specific weaknesses, pronouncing T, H sounds, and using past tense correctly. He found exercises targeting these exact problems. He recorded himself speaking and analyzed his mistakes. He asked his conversation partners to interrupt and correct him immediately when he made these specific errors. Within 2 months of deliberate practice, Alex improved more than he had in the previous 6 months of regular practice. Deliberate practice has 4 key elements: specific goals, immediate feedback, focus on weaknesses, and mental effort. It's not comfortable. It's designed to push you beyond your current abilities. Here's how to practice deliberately. Identify your specific weaknesses through honest self-assessment or feedback from others. Design exercises that target these exact problems. Seek immediate feedback, whether from a teacher, app, or by recording yourself. Focus intensely during practice. No distractions, no multitasking. For language learning, instead of general conversation practice, focus on specific skills like pronunciation, grammar, or vocabulary. For any skill, break it down into components and work on your weakest areas first. Remember, deliberate practice is mentally exhausting. You can only sustain it for short periods, but those periods create dramatic improvement.
Method 6. Interleaved learning, the mixing advantage. The sixth way is interleaved learning, which means mixing different topics or skills within a single study session. The traditional approach is blocked practice. Study topic A completely, then move to topic B, then topic C. This feels efficient and builds confidence because you see immediate improvement within each session. But here's the problem. Blocked practice creates an illusion of learning. You get good at the specific context you're practicing in, but you struggle when contexts change. Consider Emma, a math student preparing for a test covering 3 types of problems: algebra, geometry, and statistics. She spent Monday on algebra, Tuesday on geometry, and Wednesday on statistics. During each session, she felt confident as problems became easier. But her study partner Jake tried a different approach. He mixed all 3 types of problems in each session: algebra, geometry, statistics, algebra, geometry, statistics. Each transition felt harder because his brain had to keep switching gears. On the test, Emma was surprised to struggle. The problems looked familiar, but without chapter headers telling her which method to use, she felt lost. Jake, meanwhile, aced the test. His interleaved practice had taught him not just how to solve each type of problem, but when to use each method. Interleaved learning works because it forces your brain to actively choose which strategy or concept to apply. This develops discrimination skills, the ability to identify what type of problem you're facing and select the appropriate solution method. Here's how to implement interleaved learning. Instead of studying one topic for hours, switch between related topics every 20 or 30 minutes.
For language learning, mix grammar, vocabulary, listening, and speaking in each session. For math or science, alternate between different problem types within each practice session. Yes, it feels harder and progress seems slower, but you're building flexible, transferable knowledge that lasts.
Method 7. Environment design. Your space shapes your mind. The seventh way is optimizing your study environment because your surroundings have more impact on learning than you realize. Most people study wherever it's convenient, the couch, bed, kitchen table, or coffee shop. But your environment sends signals to your brain about what behavior is expected. Let me share Tom's transformation. He was a college student who couldn't focus. He'd sit at his desk with textbooks, but also his phone, snacks, video games, and a TV nearby. His brain received mixed signals. Is this time for studying, eating, entertainment, or socializing? Tom decided to create a dedicated learning environment. He cleared his desk of everything except study materials. He put his phone in another room. He used the same lamp and played the same instrumental music every time he studied. Most importantly, he used this space only for studying. No eating, no social media, no entertainment. Within 2 weeks, something amazing happened. Just sitting at his desk triggered a focused mindset. His brain had learned to associate this environment with deep concentration. Environmental psychology research shows that context-dependent learning is powerful. When you study in multiple environments, you create more retrieval cues, making it easier to remember information later. Here's how to design your optimal learning environment. Choose a specific location for studying and use it consistently. Remove distractions, phone, TV, unnecessary apps. Ensure good lighting and comfortable temperature. Use the same sensory cues, music, scents, lighting, each time to signal focus mode to your brain. But also vary your environment occasionally. Study in the library, a quiet cafe, or different rooms in your house. This prevents your learning from becoming too dependent on one specific context. Your environment should support your goals, not sabotage them.
Method 8. The Pomodoro Technique plus holistic wellness. The eighth and final way combines time management with taking care of your whole self. The Pomodoro Technique enhanced by proper sleep, nutrition, and exercise. The biggest mistake people make is thinking learning is just about mental effort, while ignoring their physical foundation. Meet Rachel, a law student who studied 14 hours a day, survived on coffee and fast food, slept 4 hours a night, and never exercised. She thought she was being dedicated, but her grades kept dropping. She couldn't concentrate, retained little information, and felt constantly exhausted. Then Rachel learned about the Pomodoro Technique, 25 minutes of focused study, followed by a 5-minute break, repeated in cycles. But she took it further. During her 5-minute breaks, she did jumping jacks or stretched. She scheduled longer breaks for proper meals with brain-healthy foods like nuts, fish, and vegetables. She protected 8 hours for sleep, knowing her brain consolidates memories during rest. The transformation was remarkable. Rachel studied fewer hours, but learned more. Her focus improved, her memory strengthened, and her stress decreased. The science is clear. Your brain is part of your body. Exercise increases BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which helps neurons grow and connect. Sleep is when your brain transfers information from temporary to permanent storage. Proper nutrition provides the fuel your brain needs for optimal function. Here's your integrated approach. Use the Pomodoro Technique for focused study sessions. During 5-minute breaks, move your body. Stretch, walk, or do light exercises.
Eat regular, balanced meals with omega-3 fatty acids, antioxidants, and complex carbohydrates. Prioritize 7 to 9 hours of sleep. This isn't lazy, it's essential for learning. Exercise regularly, even if it's just a 20-minute walk. Remember, you're not a machine that can run on willpower alone. You're a complex biological system that performs best when all components are optimized.
If you watched this entire video, I want you to know something very important. The fact that you stayed until the end shows you have what it takes to transform your learning. You are not someone who's just not good at learning. You are someone who now has 8 powerful strategies to unlock your potential. You are not limited by your current abilities. You are equipped with scientifically proven methods that can double your learning speed. From today, I want you to say, I am a strategic learner who gets better every day. Here's what I need you to do. First, subscribe to this channel because we're building a community of people who refuse to settle for average. Second, share this video with someone who needs these strategies, maybe a friend, family member, or classmate who's struggling. Third, and most importantly, choose just one technique from this video and start using it today. Don't try all 8 at once. Master one, then add another. Remember, you are not your past struggles with learning. You are your potential to grow, improve, and achieve anything you set your mind to. Transform your learning, transform your life.